What is going on, guys? How's everybody doing this afternoon? Good evening, good evening. We got a lot of folks on already, early birds. Brenton was the big early bird today. Mark, good to see you. Peter, Ray Guy, good to have you. Ron Williams from New Jersey, good to have you. Peter, good to see you. Good to see everybody. Ray Guy, what part of Georgia you from? Stephen, good to see you. Matt, good to see you. Attaboy, Kip. That's the way to get in there. Rick, good to see you. Iron Bean Coffee Company in the house. Cheers. Fred, this thing is at the bottom. That is some good stuff right there, brother. Good stuff. Ashburn. I don't even know where that's at, Ray. John, good to have you. Good to have you. Yeah, Snoop Dogg, he's still hanging in. He still got all his fur, too. Bless his heart. He's here to stay. Yeah, Fred, I still got some of the integrity left. We're still working on it. That's some good stuff, too. Love it, man. Love it. Stephen, I agree with you. Outstanding coffee. You can feel the love coming through that coffee from Fred and Chanel. By the way, those new mugs y'all had made are off the chain. Beautiful mugs. Love it. Hey, Fred, I appreciate that, man. Hope y'all are doing well. Mac's got his second order from Iron Bean Coffee Company. Mac, how's you and your better half doing? I know your better half's around there somewhere. Dean, good to see you. What was your first impressions about that thing, Dean? Peter, it may be the greatest of all time. I have to admit, it might be the greatest of all time. That's right. Tar Heels versus Duke. That's exactly right. I forgot about that. Well, we have quite a few folks on here tonight already, so we'll go ahead and get started, if that's all right, Rick. Tonight, what have we got in store? First of all, Frank, good to have you. Glad to have you. Eagle Pass, Texas. Great to have you, man. Smiley. DJ Shorty Rob, Smiley, Chad Roberts is in the house with us. Guy that I've coached with for a good while now. North of Tipton on 75, I got you. Tonight on tap for the live show, episode 10, by the way, of the evening shows. We're going to have a greatest of all time afternoon live show. We're going to talk about the merchandise stuff real quick, and then we'll get into something else that's going to be rather entertaining, I think, with all you guys involved. But no fighting, no name calling, No cursing. I don't want anybody triggered tonight. So first, the merchandise stuff. Any of you new guys that are just coming on, I've got a website up now, www.juspiddlinbbq.com. Juspiddlinbbq.com, and I've got t-shirts on there. There's still some left, a limited number. I think there's 16 left, mostly larges and extra larges, I believe. I think there's one double X left. So I've got those. I do have 2 coffee mugs on there, and I'll tell you how that came about in just a minute. And yeah, it is heavy duty, Dean, and it's not going to be as big of a learning curve as you think it's going to be, man. Just let it do the work, and don't whenever you feel like you need to panic or do something, just go grab a beer and sit back and chill, and everything's going to be all right. Don't stress about it. Greetings, Justin. So I do have the shirts on there. I've got 2 mugs on there, and I just got in the other day a few of my stickers. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. There we go. It kind of takes the glare off. These are 5 feet. 5 feet. Yeah, they're 5 feet tall. They're 5 inches tall and 4 inches wide. So obviously they're bigger than that coffee cup. They're pretty good size, but they're the transfer stickers, the kind of die cut, what they call die cut vinyl stickers. You peel the back off, stick it on there, and then peel the front off. That's kind of the stickers that I like for the most part. I think they turned out really well. They're orange, in case you can't see that. So I've got those on the website as well. I'm going to have more that I'm going to be putting on there. So stay tuned for that. So if you hadn't checked out the website, please check it out, justpiddlinbbq.com. I'm continually adding things and trying to make it better. I added a blog on there today just to kind of tell everybody my vision for the shirts and that kind of thing. So check all that stuff out. I appreciate everybody that's already checked it out and ordered shirts. By the way, the shirts that were ordered were shipped yesterday afternoon. Y'all probably got a email, I would think, with tracking numbers and all that stuff. So they are on the way. So when you get those shirts, send me some pictures of those shirts. Let me know what you think. But I'm pretty proud of them so far. So thank all you guys for that. No, I wasn't. That was a mild rant, Brent. That was just a mild rant. Have you made a brisket on the pellet grill yet? Samuel, good to have you. First of all. Secondly, I have done one, and I didn't film it. Me and my brother did it. It was some type of holiday, and obviously we were having some beverages of our choice because I don't remember which holiday it was, but I do remember it turned out really good. It really didn't have much of a choice because it was a Snake River Farms brisket. So it was probably a $250, $300 brisket or something like that. But we did cook it on the Silverbac, and it turned out great. I mean, it really did. Just like you would expect it to. That's the only one I've done because I can't really find a good one in my area. I've kind of talked about this before. Those are hard to find. But I've just about decided that what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to Walmart and buy a cheap brisket for about 40 bucks. It's going to be a choice, probably, even if it's even labeled. And I'm going to make the best dadgum brisket. I'm going to make the greatest of all time cheap briskets. It's going to be the GOAT of all briskets. And I'm going to film it, and we're just going to see what happens. I'm not going to expect to, win some kind of barbecue contest with it or anything like that. But that's what I can find in my area. So I'm going to go buy the dadgum thing, and I'm going to cook it, and I'm going to make it as good as I can make it. And that's all you can ask for. And I'm going to enjoy it while I'm doing it. So that's one of the videos that I've got in my mind that's coming up. And keep in mind, I have on the Traeger or the Silverbac, Smiley says, I'm going to do the first part of the cook on a Grilla Grill, and then I'm going to do the second half of the cook on a Traeger so nobody gets triggered. And I've got a shirt that's going to be made that's going to be half like Grilla and then half Traeger. So that's what's on tap. But keep in mind, I've got a, I have an idea for a cook, but then I've got a couple other things that I want to do ahead of that. I still want to do Mark's moink ball recipe. I've got to do that. So, Mark, I promise you, the next cooking video that I do is going to be the moink balls because I want to do them. So that's what we're going to do with that. So good question, Samuel. Thank you for the question on the brisket. And you know what? Speaking of that, I think what I'm going to do with that brisket, Fred, if it's okay with you, I think I'm going to make a coffee rub to go on that brisket when I cook it with some iron bean coffee. I think that'll be good on that brisket. So that's what I'm going to do. All the barbecue traditionalists will probably be triggered, but that's all right. It's my brisket. I'll do whatever I want to with it. How about that? The mugs, by the way, I know I said that I was sold out of mugs about a week ago or so. The Crazy Pop, good to see you. Pop, I've already got a shirt made up. I made it up day before yesterday, and it has to do with a goat, and that's all I'm gonna say about it. But it's probably gonna be the April shirt. I've already got the March shirt made, and the goat shirt will probably be the April shirt. So everybody look forward to the April shirt after you purchase the March shirt, of course. But we're going to do that. The coffee mugs. I said I was sold out of coffee mugs, and that was kind of true. What happened was I had 2 mugs left, but I had 2 people email me and say that they wanted the mugs, but they were not able to make it to the live shows to purchase the mugs. That's when we were still doing the super chat stuff, and I said, okay, that's cool. I'll just pull them out of inventory for you and save them. Well, a couple of weeks have gone by, and I never heard from them anymore. So I actually sent one person an email saying that I just put them on the site, so you can purchase them from there. You don't have to wait on the live feeds. So that's why 2 mugs appeared on my website, because I was saving them for some folks, but they never came. So if you know somebody else who needs a mug, wants a mug, or you want to give your spouse, your better half, a Jus Piddlin BBQ ambidextrous mug, look at that. Lefty, righty. Look at that. Then I have 2 of them left on the website. So check that out. So I wasn't telling you a story. They were kind of sold, but I guess they're not sold until they're sold. So there you go. That covers the mugs. And that's really about it for the merchandise and the website and all that stuff. I do have the design for the March shirt ready to go. And I'll probably order those maybe this weekend to make sure I have them in time for somewhere around the 1st of March. Justin Stanley. Justin's he's always got the weekly stipend up there, man. Justin, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Made your ribs with the wing sauce this weekend. Came out incredible. AJ, that's awesome. I like hearing people that, use some of the recipes and stuff and let me know how they come out. And I hope they turned out really good. I like that recipe. It's something a little bit different. And it's really cool, when you have people coming over and they've already had ribs every way you can think about cooking them. but I don't really ever recall anybody else cooking them that way. So it's something a little bit different. So that's awesome, man. I'm glad it turned out good. I like that recipe. I really do. Fred, safety first, man. Safety first. Safety first. I'll send you a copy if you miss anything. I promise you it's not going to be that exciting. Appreciate that, Justin. Thank you a lot. So that's going to be I have an actual barbecue cook question. All right. What is with the high-end multi-probe temp units? Are they worth it? Seems to be complicating the process to me. Now, Mark, you're you're instigating and wanting me to go on a rant, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it, Mark. You tried to push me over the edge there. I'll tell you my opinion on that. I'll be honest with you. And I think you've already heard me say that. You're trying to get me fired up. I do think sometimes that most of the time people are going way overboard with that stuff. You know, like my Silverbac, I've got one meat probe on it. And I completely understand that. You know, you run it through the little hole on the side of your grill, you put it in the internal part of your meat in the middle, and then that way you can hit that probe button without opening up the lid and letting some of the heat and smoke out, and you know what your internal temperature is. Perfect. But there are guys now that are buying these things that are not restaurant owners. They're not cooking 8 or 10 Boston butts at one time or 10 briskets at one time. If that's the case, then I understand it. But they're just like me and you know? They're sipping on some cool pops, listening to some tunes, and they've got a couple of hot dogs on there. And they've got a controller with 6 probes coming out of it with wires everywhere. And it looks like they're giving their grill a EEG or something. You know, they're doing echocardiograms on their grill or something. I mean, that's ridiculous. And just like you said, they're making everything a lot more complicated than it needs to be. You know, um, and you asked the question, are they worth it? I mean, some of these things are several $100s, two, three, $400, and whether they're worth it or not, I can't purchase those. Um, so it's just not, you know. I've got a iGrill Mini for stuff like I got it for my Weber kettle, and you know, possibly the pit barrel cooker. But actually, I've never even used it on the pit barrel cooker, and I've used it on my Weber kettle twice, and I've never gotten it back out. I mean, I've got a thermopop, and whenever I feel like going over there and checking the internal temp, I just pop it in, check it. Okay, it's not ready. I close the lid and I rock on. So, you know, I guess if you have the money, you know, and it's burning a hole in your pocket, and you want to go spend it and all that, then it's, you know, it's all right. Go ahead. You know, it's your backyard. I'm never going to tell you what to do in your backyard. Um, so it's up to you. But um, I would rather buy a nice piece of meat with that money rather than blow it on a EKG machine from a grill or something. But that's just me. But thank you for your question, Mark. Even though I think there was a little instigation behind that question. Which one is the goat? I don't know which one of those is a goat. I don't think there's not a goat for uh, external probes. There's not a goat. The goat is the pit master that doesn't need one. That's the goat. That's the real goat. And Peter, I don't blame you for that. Peter says he doesn't trust the temp gauge on a 25-year-old stick burner. And I don't blame him for that either. And if you've got an expensive piece of meat on there, you don't want to ruin it. So I completely understand that. I just don't think that, I mean, truthfully, there's boards that's got 6 different probe slots, Lord help. If I'm going to go through all that, I'd rather just throw it in the oven in the house. But again, I don't want to trigger anybody. So, and it's your backyard, do what you want. I'm not saying, it's wrong. I'm just giving you my opinion on it. Right. So along those lines, guys, something to get y'all going, get y'all fired up is, and I came up with this idea because it almost made me want to do another rant video. And I said, no, I'm not doing it. It's too soon after the last one. So I'm not doing it. But it almost made me want to. But, and it starts all back on them Facebook groups again. I'm telling you. I'm trying to stay with the times, Smiley. It's a, there's feelings nowadays. People used to didn't have feelings nowadays. But I got on one of them groups, and there was people on there arguing about a topic. I'm not going to say what the topic was. But, somebody asked, should I do it this way or should I do it this way? Of course, all the goats, pit masters get on there and you got to do it this way. There's no other way to do it, And actually what they were saying was scientifically incorrect. But that's just what they've been told over the years, and so they're going with it. That old song, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. And they were sticking to it. And I almost wanted to do a rant about it, But then I said, no, I'm not going to do it. But what I am going to do is I'm going to do a 4 video series. Now we're getting complicated now. A 4 video series out on DVD. It's going to be on HGTV here in the next month or so. 3 installments in $19.95. But really, I'm going to do 4 video series, and they're going to be over the 4 biggest to me barbecue myths. Barbecue myths. The biggest barbecue myth. Now, I'm not going to tell you the 4 that I'm going to do. I've already got them written down. I've already researched, taken notes, the whole deal. So my list is not going to change no matter what's said here. But I want to know what you think the 4 biggest myths, barbecue myths, are today. Let's see them. I've got mine. The 4 barbecue myths and why they are myths, even though they are highly publicized and put out there as being truth. Stephen says time and temp. Excuse me. Rick says you must cook on a Traeger only. Well, that's not a myth. That's what you call an asinine view. There's only one way to do it. Ballistic barbecue, fat cap up, tops the list. Greg, that could be one. Fat cap up, tops the list. Anything over 225 is wrong. All right. You can only flip a steak once. That's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one. You have to wrap in foil after so long. Meat side up versus down. The ribs have to be bite through perfect. That's a good one. Great smoke ring means great food. That's a good one. That's a good one. I'll tell you, y'all might have mentioned 2 of my 4 already. Y'all might have mentioned 2 of my 4 already. And before we go any farther, you can't drink too much beer when cooking. That's the truth, Dave. That is not a myth. I tried to prove it. I tried to debunk it, and that is the truth. Meat stops taking smoke after X time or temp. All right, I like it. Barbecue cooks are like fishermen, not always truthful. That is a truth. So before we go any farther with this, whether I'm going to do these or not, let's talk about them for a minute. Let's go back to the first one that Greg said: fat cap up, fat cap down. Does it matter? Do you trim the fat? Do you leave the fat on? What's your rationale for where the fat goes? Let me hear it. And I want to know what you really do now, not what you think that I'm going to say that you should do, or what I'm going to say is really right. I want to know. I want to know what y'all think. Fat cap up, fat cap down, does it matter? Let me know. Greg says I like to direct the fat towards the heat. And Greg, I will say that's the way that me and my brother look at it. I'll tell you my opinion of the fat cap up and down, whether I'm going to make it one of my myth videos or not. But me and my brother look at it that way because, if you're cooking, say, which chances are you're not cooking over direct heat if you're low and slow. But if you are somewhat over the heat, I want that fat cap kind of protecting the meat from the heat. If you're cooking in more of a, where that heat is going to kind of roll around, convection type heat, and it's going to kind of roll more over the top, I may want to put that fat cap up and protect the top side from the heat. That's kind of the way me and my brother see it. Jason says fat towards the heat. What about putting it on its side? Yeah, now that's the you're trying to weasel out of there, Peter. You have to give your brother's smoker back. No, it's been here long enough, AJ. It's mine now. But a lot of people will say, and Greg, I'm sure you're going to love this. A lot of people will say the fat cap has to be up. There's no other way. The fat cap has to be up because that fat is going to render and it's going to absorb into the meat, through the meat, making that meat moist and juicy and savory and succulent and fall apart tender. And doesn't that sound good? I mean, all of that sounds good. Fat cap up and that stuff is just dissolving and just sinking into that juicy meat, making it even more juicy, That sounds really good. I wish it were true. But if that is one of my myths, then I'll tell you why it's not true. So that could be one of them. Another one does have to do with steaks. But what about steaks is a myth. What about smoke rings? Somebody said something about smoke rings. If you don't have a smoke ring, it's not good barbecue. What y'all's opinions on that? Mark. Yeah, I forgot to put my collar on, Mark. That is a good point, Rick. I may send him a bill for storage. You're right. Let me hear it. Do you have to have a smoke ring? What causes a smoke ring? $555-1234. Send your donations now. So one of the videos might have something to do with smoke rings. Does a sear really seal in the juices? I know I'm going to get some reactions from that. Must use rubs throughout the cook to add layers, and if you don't, your foods are terrible. That could be one. Don't marinate in Dales. It could get a little salty. Should you cut into the steak during the cook to see if it's done? Let's don't do that. Does searing a steak seal in the juices? Brenton says he reverse sears. Does it matter if you sear? What would you call that? If searing at the end is a reverse sear, what is searing at the beginning called? If you OG sear in the beginning, or if you reverse sear at the end, does it matter? A front sear or a reverse sear, do they matter? Greg says his next video is a front sear. Side Yard Barbecue says, hold on, I'm getting Meathead's book. We may very well test them out at Bristol, Smiley. Justin says reverse sear is for flavor and texture. Stephen says he sears throughout the cook on his Weber kettle. So Justin, I'm going to say Justin, because of his answer, is saying it really doesn't have anything to do with sealing in the juices as much as it does flavor and texture. I like your point of view, Justin. That brisket is always done at 205. That could or could not be true, Matt. It's done. There's no doubt it's done. It was done long before it got to 205. But what you really mean is it's tender and juicy, and it's got the pull test like it's supposed to be, right? I know what you mean. I think a lot of that would depend on the grade of the brisket that you have. Also, the only way to really lock in juices is to cook it in a cast iron skillet. How about that? Now, a cast iron skillet, I love cooking with cast iron. I really do. Yeah, for the best flavor and tenderness, Brisket's always done at 205. I got you, Matt. I got you. Greg, what are you going to be front searing? What kind of meat we looking at? I bet Greg's got some good stuff coming on here too. If it's probe tender, pull it. I pulled brisket at 190. You know, I mean, that's a good point. You know, if you've got a you've got a probe and you're just sticking it in and it's going in like butter, but it's only reading 190. You know, what's really the point? 35-day dry aged ribeye. Now, did you dry age it yourself, Greg? Wrap to push through the stall. That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that. And the stall is another good topic. Another myth is you got to squeeze the piss out of the meat. Yeah, I love that one. That definitely is a myth. Kip, thank you for bringing that up. A wise man once told me that. Don't squeeze the piss out of your meat. Good call. See, I've always wanted to dry age, but everybody that I've seen dry age, they do it in their refrigerator, and the ones that I've seen anyway have some kind of little contraption. It's a dry ager, I guess, with a little light in there and a fan and all that. But I'd have to do some serious sweet talking probably with my wife to get her to let me take over half of the refrigerator. So I'm not real sure how I could do it. I really need another refrigerator is what I need. Texas barbecue is only salt and pepper. Yeah, I heard that today. When I got home, Man Fire Food, I think, was on TV. And they were out in Texas. We're doing it Texas style, only salt and pepper. So if you don't do it with salt and pepper, then it's not going to be Texas style, I guess. Made without a vacuum machine. Gotcha. I need to look into that more. And that's the thing. And you know, by the way, Greg, I love your channel, and I like watching it. One reason is because it's San Diego. It reminds me of San Diego, and I was stationed out there at Miramar for 3 years, and my cousin lives out there, Rancho Penasquitos, or one of those names that I can't pronounce. But I actually lived out in El Cajon when I was stationed out there. But loved it out there. Beautiful, man, beautiful. Great places to eat out there. Hodad's, man, I love Hodad's burgers. The Guido burger, I love that thing. But I love watching your videos. And man, that Primo's awesome. I love that Primo. I wish I had a Primo. That'd be great. Anyway, if you've been on another planet and hadn't checked out Greg's Ballistic Barbecue channel, go check it out. Outstanding channel. And informative, which is what I'm trying to be a little more informative, and help folks out. Back to you, Greg. Let's see what else. Steak can only be done medium rare. Yeah, I mean that's a good point. I'm always leery, a little bit leery. That's always in the back of my mind. I shouldn't say I'm leery to do one because it's my backyard, my steak. But it's always in the back of my mind when I do a steak video that, you you want that shot, after you cook a steak. And a couple of times I've done videos and didn't do a taste test, and I always get grief or thumbs down or something because I didn't do a taste test. With steak videos, you want that shot where you're cutting through it and it's perfectly, medium rare. But what if you're filming it and it's not, or something? Or what if you don't like, I don't cook for just me, my wife likes it a little more medium instead of medium rare. But there's those people. It's over. If it's not still got that one hoof out kicking, oh, it's overdone. It's overdone. You messed that steak up. So I mean that's a good point. But not everybody has to do it the way that you would want it done. It goes back to the kind of rant video that I did the other day. Everybody thinks that if you don't do it the way that they would have done it, then it's wrong because they're the greatest of all time. And I I always tell all you guys, when I do my videos, I'm not telling you how you should do it. I'm just showing you how I do it. And then you can take what I do and adjust it to whatever fits or suits your style, your taste, your equipment, and make it your own. That's what I want y'all to do is make it your own. I'm just giving you, a guideline of how I do things, so I had one guy, I've done the most thing that I've ever cooked over the years, obviously, is Boston butts. I've, my mom owned a barbecue restaurant here in Georgia. You do Boston butts. That's what you make barbecue out of, pulled pork. And I've done them all my life. Do a pizza video. Notice I don't have any pizza videos on my channel, Greg, and that could be why. Yeah. So I've done them I've done Boston butts every way that you can possibly do them. I've done them fat side up, fat side down. I've trimmed all the fat off. I've cooked them where I didn't do a single thing to them, but just took them out there and put them on. I've used every kind of rub that you can use on a Boston butt. I've trimmed them aggressively, And one thing that I can tell you is it didn't matter what I did to the thing. I've never cooked a Boston butt that I wouldn't eat, ever, or that anybody else wouldn't eat, ever. They've all turned out great. But one of the Boston butt videos, I trimmed it pretty well. And on a Boston butt, on the top, there's one little piece that's a natural crease. And you can kind of pull it up. And if you do pull it up, there's a lot of sinew and just nasty silver skin and loose, just stuff that you don't want to eat. You're not going to eat. And so I like pulling that up and going ahead and cutting that out. Why do I do that? Because if that's another place, another opportunity for me to put some seasoning in, some rub in there, then why not do that? So, I'll trim some of that stuff out, and there'll be a pile of it, that fits in your hand, a decent amount. That stuff that you're going to throw away anyway. You don't want your guests eating that. And so I'll get my seasoning down in there, put some oil down there, season it and all that. A guy comments on my video, guys, whatever you do, don't do what this guy did to this Boston butt. He mutilated this thing. Do not do that to your Boston butt, I mean, whatever. It still turned out great. You could run over it with a lawnmower, put it on your grill. It's still going to turn out great. You can't mess up a Boston butt. You just can't. So however you like doing it, guys, do it your way, Filet mignon. And I've got 2 fillets in there that I need to cook. I'm probably going to wrap those in bacon and probably cook those. I wouldn't mind doing those, front searing them in some cast iron to seal in the juices. So I got to figure out something to do with those fillets. And those are fillets from Butcher Box. So I'm curious to see how those are going to be. So far, everything from the Butcher Box that I have tried is really good. And I'm telling you, it was really kind of shocking when I got the chicken breasts from the Butcher Box. And there's no antibiotics. There's nothing pumped into the chickens. They're free range chickens and all that. And you know, over the years, I'm not one of these guys that, it's got to be gluten free and it can't have this and it can't have this and I can't eat that and I'm allergic to that. And, it's got to be organic and free range. And, I mean, if you go buy free range eggs, a dozen eggs is like $6 or something. Okay, well, I'll take the non-free range eggs. Maybe that's cruel of me. I don't know, but I've just never been that person. But getting the Butcher Box stuff opened my eyes because the chicken breasts that we get from Butcher Box are like the chicken breasts of old, when I was a teenager. They're about the size of my cell phone. They're about hand size, you know, about that thick, And we had cooked all the Butcher Box chicken breasts. So, and I apologize, I'm not reading these comments while I'm telling a story. It's hard for me to do two things at one time. So I went and we cooked all the Butcher Box chicken breasts. So I went and got regular chicken breasts from the store. It was a package about this long with 6 chicken breasts in it. Guys, I'm telling you, the chicken breasts, they were that big, and the widest end, I mean, it was that thick. I mean, there were 6 chicken breasts, and I could have filleted them in half and made 12 chicken breasts out of them. And they would probably still been bigger than the Butcher Box chicken breasts. Now, a lot of people will say, well, I want them big chicken breasts, them little chicken. But think about why they're that big. They were bigger than a turkey breast. And I'll be honest with you, and Chad Roberts, Smiley Roberts, he'll tell you where we live. Chad lives right down the road. You can't drive down any of these roads around here without passing chicken houses. They're everywhere around here. Everybody owns chicken houses but me. And there's, I don't know, Chad, maybe but 40,000 chickens in one chicken house, something like that. It's crazy. And they drop them off, and like, I don't know, 8-10 weeks later, they're full-grown chickens and they're being taken to, the slaughter. That's not normal. That's not right, And yet we're eating all that. So anyway, I got off on a tangent about Butcher Box, but that just hit me when I saw that chicken breast, and all the stuff that we are eating in our food, and beef too. The Butcher Box stuff is grass-fed, grass-finished, and it does have a different taste, I have to admit. Now, Mark, we're talking about chickens now. We're talking about chickens. Mark had to go there. I knew somebody was going to do it. Mark, I mean, I'll do some more reviews on it, And like I say, they didn't send me the box. I purchased the box because I was curious, and our local grocery store here is awful. It has an awful meat department. And so that was one way that I could get decent meat. And so I went that route just to try it. So I'm still going to give you my honest opinions about those. So good stuff. Good stuff. So that's going to be the 4 video series of barbecue myths. And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of comments. I'm anxious to see how many thumbs downs I get on those videos, and comments that I get because, you know, oh, I know the other one. Y'all haven't mentioned the other one. Y'all have got one. Y'all have gotten 3 out of the 4. The other one, you have not mentioned. That's going to be a good one too, by the way. It's going to be a good one. But the other ones, all of them really, are going to make some people mad because I know that it's been hammered into their brains that this is the way you do it and this is why. And it's like fads, like a fad diet or clothing or whatever. You know, people see somebody doing something and without even thinking or asking, you know, why are they doing that or should they be doing that? It's like they just, like a robot, they just follow them, you know, and they just start doing it too. And that's the same way with how these barbecue myths, I think, have come about. Is, you know, one person decided, well, you know, if you do that fat cap up, it's going to absorb into that meat, you know, and so that person told somebody that was new to barbecuing. Well, he didn't question it and he doesn't know, but it sounds like, man, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. So he went to his backyard and he had a visitor and, what you doing that for? Well, some goat told me that you put the fat cap up so that fat renders and absorbs back into the meat. So then that guy goes and does it. And it's got to be true because, well, it came from the greatest of all time, guy down the road. So sometimes we just have to use our common sense, our brain that the good Lord gave us, you know. It's all right to ask a question every now and then. Keith, good to have you. I appreciate that. I thank you. And, you know, sometimes I hate doing them. No, I don't hate doing them rants, but sometimes I think maybe sometimes I go a little overboard with them or, but man, I could probably do one every day. I mean, seriously, but you know, I try to be an easygoing fella. So who dropped the ball and how do you do the highlight on the name? What you talking about, Kip? The truth does hurt, Stephen. You're right. My easygoing role model. Gavin is a no-show tonight. You know, you're right. You're right. And you know, I don't know if he has gotten his mug yet. It's some, you know, it's still with Wilson on that little island somewhere, I guess. And I'm still waiting on my Vegemite. When I get my Vegemite in, that'll be another video. And I was thinking about it today. You know, I know y'all said y'all want me to do it live. Well, I think what I'm going to do, this is going to be a little weird, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it live and I'm going to do a video of it and post the video separately, just like a regular video. I think I'll probably get more views that way. You know, some redneck barbecue dude taste testing Vegemite. You know, it might get some views. So I think I'm going to do it live, but then I'm going to do a video of it while I'm live with you guys. So what that means is y'all are going to see me while I do a video, how I do a video, and probably some bloopers and cussing and stuff like that. Behind the scenes stuff. Yeah, I tell you what, I have done some research already. You shouldn't be surprised by now because I researched just about everything. And these people, first of all, it's kind of strange. Man, that's good. It's kind of strange that everybody in Australia, it seems like, knows what Vegemite is. They eat it all the time. And when I say eat it all the time, guys, I have found recipes where they make Vegemite spaghetti. They make Vegemite cheesecake and Vegemite cake, and they make this thing. It looks like a cinnamon roll. It's like swirled, but it's Vegemite and cheese and something rolled into like a cinnamon roll shape. They make all kind of stuff with it. But what intrigues me is that here in the United States, that Vegemite is so big in Australia. How is it that in the States, I mean, it's not that it's not popular in the States. I mean, it doesn't even exist in the States. I mean, I'm sure it does, but you never hear anybody talk about it, you know. Earl, better late than never, man. Always good to have you. You never hear anybody. I've never heard one single person in 46 years. Hey, what'd you have for breakfast this morning? I had one of them Vegemite sandwiches. I mean, never. I've never heard it. I've never heard anybody buy it. I don't know if I've ever seen it in a store. Not that I've looked at it. It may be there. But I've never seen it in a store. So it's just so strange that something is that popular in Australia, and yet we don't even, use it at all. Nothing. But I have seen some people do some taste tests with it with some mixed reviews. Some people say it's not that bad. Some people say it's very salty. It also depends on how much you use. I've seen several videos of what they recommend, the amount. Most people, I guess, put it on bread with some butter and then the Vegemite. But the ratio from butter to Vegemite is like a lot of butter to a little bit of Vegemite. So I think what I'm going to do is, thank you, Earl. I appreciate that, man. Butter, make it better. Yeah. Greg, have you tried Vegemite? I'm gonna, when I do the video, I'm gonna do it two ways. First of all, I'm gonna do the bread with the butter and the Vegemite. But I think that's kind of a cop out. So I am gonna just put some in a spoon and just try it straight, no chaser, and just give you an idea of what it really tastes like by itself. And then I'm gonna do the buttered bread with the Vegemite. There's a place out here that sells it along with the British version. Yeah, well, I've got I don't know if you know the backstory, but I've got a guy, Gavin, who is from Australia, and he tunes into these live feeds a lot. And I got to questioning him about, Vegemite. Whenever I see somebody from Australia, two things. I think of the, Crocodile Dundee and the Men at Work song, the Land Down Under with the Vegemite sandwich. So I asked him if he had ever tried Vegemite. And yeah, yeast, some kind of derivative of yeast. And he said, yeah, that they eat it all the time. He wanted to send me some. And I said, don't send me that because that's going to cost an arm and a leg. And he said, no, I want to send it to you. But he had wanted me to send him a coffee mug. And so I said, well, I'll tell you what, if you send me the Vegemite, I'll send you a coffee mug. And then when it gets here, I'll do a taste test of the Vegemite. So that's how that happened. And so the most expensive coffee mug on the planet is being sent to Australia as we speak. It's still on a FedEx plane somewhere, and I'm still waiting on the Vegemite, the most expensive Vegemite probably in the world. But we did it, and so that's a video coming up. Awesome. Yeah, now you got to figure out what you're going to use that in, man. Uh, like I say, they use it in everything. So we'll see how the Vegemite goes. Uh, I've eaten a lot of stuff. My daddy, when I was little, going fishing with him and stuff. I mean, I grew up on potted meat and Vienna sausages and spam. We go fishing. He'd have cans of potted meat and crackers or kippers and mustard sauce or stuff like that. So that doesn't really. I mean, I every now and then I kind of crave a old potted meat sandwich with some ketchup. I'm not craving a Vegemite sandwich, but maybe I don't want to psych myself out. Vegemite coated Boston butt. I mean, they say it's salty. I'll have to look that up. Can you cook? Well, I guess you can cook with it. Vegemite coated Boston butt. That's interesting. We might have to do something with that. I wonder if it'd be good as like a Greg. It might be good as a chicken rub, like a whole chicken. Just rub it all over with Vegemite. I don't know about that. Interesting. Greg, if you do come up with something where you're going to use some Vegemite, please send me a message so I can check that out. That's going to be good stuff. I'll tell you what, after I get through with the taste test of Vegemite, Greg, I'll send it to you and see what you think about it. I'll do that favor for you. Yeah, yeah, chickens are a lot cheaper, Kip. You're right. You're right. Earl, it's not a big deal, man. I appreciate you. I just appreciate seeing your name on my videos, man. When you comment on them, I just appreciate you, man. 100%. God bless you. So that is about all for the agenda tonight. The website's up, the shirts are on there, the 2 mugs. Matter of fact, I saw Mark Summers on here earlier. Mark, you were one of the ones, your wife said you wanted a mug. I've got 2 mugs that are on my website if you want to go over to the website and pick one of them up. JusPiddlinBBQ.com. Again, guys, if you haven't been over there, go check it out. But I'm starting extremely small. I started off with a couple of shirts. Now I've got some stickers on there and I have 2 coffee mugs left. And next month I will be doing a St. Patty's Day themed Just Piddlin BBQ shirt. Each month I'm going to try to come up with a new themed shirt. It's going to be a good quality shirt, nice soft shirt. And so go check those out. I appreciate all your support and everything you guys do. When I started these live shows Wednesday nights, and then I decided to do that one on Sunday mornings, um, I I really didn't think I would do it, but a couple of weeks, and because nobody was going to show up, and now I've got people showing up 15 minutes early, so it's kind of crazy and humbling. And I want to say that I really appreciate it. All you guys, Wednesday nights, Sunday mornings at 7 o'clock, and for some of you guys, y'all are getting up at 6 a.m. so that it's 7 a.m. Eastern, and that's unbelievable to me. So thank you guys very much. If you have a myth, a good one that you want me to incorporate into those myth videos, let me know. I'm going to try to do those. Those are something that I can probably do during the week. They're going to be a little bit easier to do than cooking videos, so I can probably knock those out pretty quick. There shouldn't be a whole lot of editing to those, and that way I can get back into some cooking videos, or I may do a cooking video in between those. Mark, your moink balls are coming up, brother. You're just bored. Well, I knew it wasn't because I was entertaining, Mark. So thank you for reaffirming that. You got my family peeling all over the world. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. I appreciate you guys. The world of barbecue. Great to have you on the Earl. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, Earl. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Awesome. Earl wasn't going to quit. Earl was not going to quit. That's what I'm talking about, Earl. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Hope everybody's doing good up your way. All right, guys. So unless anybody got anything else, any other questions or anything, I want to thank all of you for tuning in tonight. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. If you're cooking anything this week, the rest of the week, y'all shoot me a picture or something, or tag me in something on Instagram or something like that, and let me see what you got going on. Ron, thank you for stopping in. And start communicating a little bit on Instagram and stuff like that. Matt, great to have you, man. Thank you so much. Peter, Rick, great. Cheers, man. Thank you so much for stopping in. Means a lot. I mean that. Keith, have a good night. Steven, keep it going, buddy. I've been watching on old Facebook. AJ, take care. This was the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Well, thank you, Peter. And because you said it, it must be true. So thank you very much. And with that, I will say, until next time, I'll be piddling.